James Hetfield builds beasts. With over a dozen custom hot rods and vintage classics, some of his cars are so unique that they've been featured in world-class auto museums. But this isn't just a rock star with money. Hetfield designs these machines with the same passion he brings to Metallica's music. Get ready to step inside a garage where metal meets muscle, and every engine growls with attitude. Number 1. Jaguar MK4 Reimagined, Black Pearl. We'll begin with a ride that straight up blurs the lines between classic elegance and heavy metal attitude. Black Pearl. Built from the ground up, it's a one-of-a-kind handcrafted masterpiece that transformed a Jaguar MK4 into a time warp of Art Deco beauty and raw American muscle. Hetfield stripped it down to the outer frame rails. The result? All are built by hand. No donor car body, no bolt-on panels, no kits, just steel sheets, an 8x10 sketch, and some of the best hands in the biz. Rick Dorr and the legendary Marcel and Luc Delay. 6 months later, they rolled out a car that looks like it drove off the set of a 1930s Parisian dreamscape and into a modern car show. The inside's just as jaw-dropping. Ron Mangus decked out the cabin with a custom Art Deco interior, brass accents, and gauges that resemble those found in a vintage Pullman railcar. Love what you're seeing? This is just the beginning. James Hetfield's garage is full of jaw-dropping customs like this. Hit that like button if you're into badass builds, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Back to it. Under the hood lies a 375 horsepower and a 302 cubic inch Ford V8 mated to a Ford C4 automatic. Suspension-wise, we're talking airbags front and back, a Mustang II style front setup, and a 4-link rear holding down a solid Ford 9-inch. Its wheels are hand-fabbed by Wheelsmith Fabrications, black artillery style with brass caps to match the frame. Every angle of this car is dripping in drama, style, and muscle. No surprise, it snagged the 2014 Good Guys Custom of the Year, beating some serious competition, including 39 Zephyrs, 55 Cadillacs, you name it. But none of them had the 1-2 punch of elegance and edge that this machine delivered. The wildest part? When folks at the LA Auto Show asked what kind of body it was, Hetfield just said steel sheets. That's how unreal the craftsmanship is. People couldn't believe it didn't start life as some exotic coupe. 1953 Buick Skylark. James Hetfield's 1953 Buick Skylark started as a factory custom Skylark, already miles apart from your average Buick Roadmaster. But Hetfield wanted something louder, sleeker, bolder. So Dorr shaved the badges, smoothed the bumpers, lowered it, and ditched the soft top in favor of a low-slung hardtop that hugs the body like a custom suit. The whole body was slathered in a deep candy purple paint that looks like it was poured straight out of a bottle of vintage Fender guitar lacquer. It gleams, it glows, it nearly pulses under the lights, and yeah, it's the same purple used on the matching ESP X-Tone guitar and Mesa Boogie amp that comes with the car. This car doesn't just roll, it rocks. Inside, things get even more personal. The dash, console, and doors are finished in that same rich color, offset by white leather seats that scream classic cool. But dig this, the gas pedal is shaped like a bass drum pedal, and the gauges are styled to look like Fender Pearloid guitar picks. Under the hood, you've got the bones of the original 322 cubic inch nailhead V8, a 5.3 liter torque monster that delivered about 188 horsepower back in its day. While Hetfield and Dorr haven't spilled all the performance secrets, you can bet your last spark plug that this thing has been tuned to drive just as boldly as it looks. Probably still rocking the Dynaflow 2 speed automatic, maybe even with a few modern tweaks to make it cruise smoother than a Saturday night on Sunset. Number 3. The 1937 Lincoln Zephyr Voodoo Priest. Picture a sleek, low-slung machine that looks like it rolled straight out of a noir film, dripping with deep candy apple red paint and that unmistakable teardrop silhouette. That's Voodoo Priest, a 1937 Lincoln Zephyr that's more than just a custom car. Now, getting your hands on a 1937 Lincoln Zephyr is not exactly like finding a '66 Mustang on Craigslist. This one had a wild story. The car belonged to a Vietnam vet from Sacramento who returned in '72, hopped on a train, and vanished. It sat in his mom's driveway for decades until Hetfield scooped it up, and that's where the magic started. Hetfield didn't just slap a new paint job on it and call it a day. He teamed up with Rick Dorr and the RD Customs crew, who were legends in the custom scene. Antioch Muffler took on the chassis work, dropping in a Mustang II independent front suspension and a Ford 9-inch rear end. The entire setup is powered by a RideTech airbag suspension, providing the perfect slammed stance, alongside a dual exhaust system to let the V12 breathe. Speaking of that V12, it's the soul of this beast. The original 4.4-liter Lincoln V12 was rebuilt and polished by H&H Flatheads. They loaded it with 3 Stromberg 97 carbs and installed a PowerMaster PowerGen alternator that looks old school but cranks out modern power. Behind it, there's a C4 automatic transmission, so the car cruises smoothly without killing your left leg in traffic. Keith Dean, the son of custom car royalty Dick Dean, handled the bodywork. He dropped the deck lid, reshaped the rockers, and molded in the rear quarters from a 38 Lincoln. Rear doors leaned forward, headlights leaned back, and a 53 Kaiser override was canted into the tail as if it belonged there all along. Inside, this thing is dripping with Art Deco, which is cool. Craig Hopkins wrapped the interior in black mohair, a classy yet rock and roll rebellious touch. The contrast with the white and red details is killer. The flat glass was installed by Tony Gomes at Tri-Valley Auto Glass, fitting perfectly. The wheels are 16-inch customs from Wheel Vintiques, riding on Firestone's 6-16 rubber with re-chromed Zephyr caps, giving it a look that appears to be gliding even when it's parked. Number 4. The 1934 Packard. The 1934 Packard is something else. It's got all the polish of a classy luxury cruiser and all the attitude of a custom hot rod. Built completely from scratch by Rick Dorr Customs, this isn't just a car, it's a sculpture that moves. The original 1934 Packard Standard 8 was already a head-turner back in its day, with a 5.2-liter straight 8 and elegant lines. But Hetfield wanted something way beyond that, so he and Dorr drew up a fresh design, inspired by French coach builders like Fagoni at Falaschi, those guys who built curvy, teardrop-bodied masterpieces. The Aquarius body was hand-shaped from aluminum sheet metal. You've got sweeping fenders, a Duval-style split windshield, exposed side exhausts, and a removable top. The whole thing is silver, glowing like a spaceship under show lights. Hetfield even insisted it be displayed on a rotating turntable so fans could take in every curve. But don't let the elegant looks fool you. Under the hood, that's where things get rowdy. Hetfield ditched the old inline 8 and dropped in a 6.2-liter LS3 V8, the same engine you'll find in modern Corvettes and Camaros. We're talking 426 to 436 horsepower with torque figures pushing 420 pound-feet. This ain't just for show. The Aquarius will get up and move. It rides on a modified Morrison frame with air suspension, allowing it to ride low and smoothly. You'll get the performance of a new car, but the style of a 30s Grand Tourer. The interior was pure class, custom designed to match the outer style, with nods to the Art Deco era that inspired the build. It's plush, well-appointed, and totally unique. Hetfield's Aquarius isn't just another pretty face at a car show. It's valued at over $115,000, and that's likely a conservative estimate for a one-off masterpiece like this. It made its debut as part of the reclaimed Rust exhibit at the Petersen Automotive Museum, right alongside Voodoo Priest and the rest of Hetfield's incredible lineup. Number 5. 1936 Auburn Boattail Speedster. Slow burn, James Hetfield's custom 1936 Auburn Boattail Speedster is the crown jewel of his collection, valued at around $800,000. Now, the story behind Slow burn is just as cool as the car itself. James got inspired after laying eyes on Glenn Prey's fiberglass reproduction of the original Auburn 852. The man didn't just stop at admiration though. He tracked down a genuine vintage body from Prey's stash and handed it over to none other than Rick Dorr, the custom king at RD Customs. That's where the magic began. Rick transformed it, completely reworked the body, handcrafted most of the panels, and gave it that double-toned paint job. The base color? A jaw-dropping root beer copper that shifts in the light. The interior? Egyptian leather. It's got that rich vintage vibe, but with modern comfort. Originally, this beast came equipped with a 4.6-liter supercharged inline-8 engine, producing 150 horsepower and 230 pound-feet of torque. It was a force in its day, sprinting 0 to 60 in about 15 seconds, though that's been up for debate ever since the 30s. Either way, it was fast for its time, but Hetfield, he wanted more. So in came the ZZ4 350 Ford crate motor, a monster with 350 horsepower and 405 pound-feet of torque. It also came with an automatic transmission, a smoother ride, and way more street muscle. Add to that a set of 15-inch forged wheels, white wall rubber, and a RideTech air suspension system that gives it that float like a butterfly glide. Inside, the dash got a full vintage overhaul, complete with classic instruments, a 1940 Ford steering wheel, and custom pedals. It's like stepping into a time machine that decided to hot rod its way to the future. Topping it all off, a Carson-style roof adds to its dramatic silhouette. Number 6. The Crimson Ghost started life as a 1937 Ford Coupe. Nothing too wild at first glance. In fact, Hetfield himself called it an ugly duckling. But you know how this goes. Give a car guy with a vision and a killer custom shop the reins, and suddenly, the duckling's a beast in cherry paint. Hetfield handed this one off to Rick Dorr Customs again, and the transformation began. They kept the essence of the 37 Coupe alive, but gave it an attitude adjustment. The body got a clean, smooth look with a chopped roof and a more aggressive rear curve, sleek, low, and absolutely mean looking. The paint is something else. Deep, dark black cherry that glows blood red under the sunlight. Now, under that curvaceous hood is a 3.6-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine that cranked out 85 horsepower and 153 pound-feet of torque back in the day. Paired with a 3-speed sliding mesh manual gearbox, it topped out at about 76 miles per hour. Not exactly race ready by today's standards, but remember, this car wasn't built for speed. Crimson Ghost also earned a spot at the Petersen Automotive Museum, joining its copper cousin in the reclaimed Rust exhibit. It's surrounded by fellow customs like the 34 Packard, 32 Roadster, and Hetfield's beloved 1948 Jaguar. Number 7. This 1936 Ford Coupe started life as a beat-up 5-window coupe, the kind of car you'd drive past and barely notice. But Hetfield, being the man of vision he is, saw potential. He scooped it up and handed it over to the wizards at Blue Collar Customs in Sacramento. These guys teamed up with custom car legend Rick Dorr to bring Iron Fist roaring to life. Right off the bat, this Ford got a serious attitude adjustment. We're talking about a full air suspension setup using Slam Specialties bags. Not only does this allow the car to sit low enough to scrape ants off the pavement, but it also rides smoothly. They also installed a modified Heights Mustang 2 style front suspension and a custom 4-link rear suspension. Originally, James had planned to paint it black, but once the crew had finished the bodywork, rounding the trunk corners, installing a new roof skin, and creating a one-piece hood, Hetfield took one look at that raw, smooth metal and said leave it. Inside it's just as wild. You get oxblood leather upholstery, a nickel-plated 52 Chevy steering column dropped with an old Mickey Thompson connecting rod. Every inch is either gloss black, nickel-plated, or expertly stitched. Controls for the air suspension and stereo are hidden to keep the clean vintage vibe intact. Number 8. Hetfield's 1963 Lincoln Continental is all attitude, slammed to the ground, and decked out in matte black and riding on suicide doors. Hetfield didn't find this car at an auction or through a dealer. Nope, he spotted it on the side of the road in San Francisco. Right place, right time. The moment he saw it, he had a vision. Inspired by a friend's 1960 Lincoln, James knew exactly what to do, and this time, he rolled up his sleeves and got hands-on. The Lincoln came into Hetfield's life with old-school seaweed green flames. That didn't last long. He gave it a full repaint in flat black with a metal flake roof, turning the big cruiser into a rolling shadow. The grille was one of the most dramatic changes. He widened it and tucked the headlights behind it, giving the front end a mysterious, almost sinister look. Under the hood is a monster 430 cubic inch V8. Back in the day, this beast had 300 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. This was enough to launch it to 60 miles per hour in 10.5 seconds with a top speed of 120 miles per hour. Even with all that power, it's the way this Lincoln looks and feels that really gets people. Suicide doors, just like JFK's ride in Dallas, give it that eerie, iconic presence. It's low, it's long, and it's unapologetically bold. There's no mistaking it when you see it rolling up. It's got that cool factor 10 times. Unlike Iron Fist, where everything was torn apart and rebuilt from scratch, Dead Kennedy is more of a resto mod. Hetfield kept the original spirit intact, but swapped out old parts for fresh components with vintage flair. Everything looks era correct, but with modern reliability. It's the kind of car you cruise on a Sunday with windows down and the radio off, just listening to that V8 purr. Value-wise, restored Continentals from this area fetch anywhere from 47 to 85 grand, depending on condition. This one, being Hetfield's personal project and the first he modified himself, it's probably worth even more. Number 9. Hetfield's 1956 Ford F100 pickup started life as a humble workhorse. When Hetfield got his hands on it, it already had a stretched cab and a flatbed, probably used to haul around a golf cart or two. But that was just the starting point. James brought it to the guys at Blue Collar Customs, and together they tore this thing down to the bare bones. Every inch of it was reimagined and rebuilt. We're talking suicide doors, a chopped roof lowered by 2.25 inches, and custom bodywork that was all hand-shaped, from fenders to the firewall. There's a grille straight out of a 1960 Chrysler up front, married to headlights of a 60s Ford pickup. Then they threw in venti ports from a 53 Buick on the hood and winged taillights. The hood rolls forward, and it has vents from a 53 Buick, giving it that wild rocket ship feel. For power, originally, Ford threw in a 167 horsepower 4.4-liter V8 back in '56, but Hetfield wasn't settling for stock. The motor was working just fine, so instead of yanking it out, he sent it over to Rex Hutchinson Racing. They tuned it up and gave it a whole new attitude. The original 4-speed manual transmission was replaced with a Turbo 400 automatic. This monster rides on air ride suspension, so you can drop it low for the shows or raise it up for the streets. Up front, there's a Mustang 2 setup, which means it drives like a dream and brakes like one too, with front discs and rear drums. Inside, it's got pearlized vinyl from Ward Auto Interiors, keeping the custom vibes going strong. One-piece windows give it a clean, smooth look. Then you've got the wheels, 15x6 radars with white wall tires, 245/70x15. Hetfield named it Straight Edge as a nod to his lifestyle. No booze, no drugs, just pure unfiltered horsepower and craftsmanship. James Hetfield's 1932 Ford Roadster, dubbed Blackjack is what every hot rodder dreams of building, but few ever pull off. Under the hood sits a Mercury flathead V8, breathing through twin Stromberg carbs and exhaling through Fenton headers. Edelbrock heads give it that extra grunt. It sounds as mean as it looks, with a growl that says, "Don't mess with me." Mated to a T5 5-speed overdrive transmission, it's got the punch of old-school power with the ease of modern cruising. The Ford 9-inch rear end with a limited slip differential keeps all that power grounded. For braking, it has massive Buick drums up front and a Willwood master cylinder to keep things under control. The setup is vintage-inspired, but modern where it counts, with an aluminum radiator, an electric fan, and even a sneaky modern alternator hiding inside an old-school generator case. The stance is perfect, thanks to a 4-link rear with coilovers. It hugs the road, sits low, and looks like it's doing 80 standing still. The builders even slid the seat back a few inches and threw in heat because Hetfield likes his rides fast, but not freezing. Inside, it's just as cool. Cream interior with Stewart Warner gauges and guide headlight buckets, left with a touch of patina. Hetfield made sure every component was period correct or fabricated from scratch. Parts came from old barns, wrecking yards, and swap meets. If it couldn't be found, it was built. The result is a hot rod that's not only beautiful, but absolutely authentic. Hetfield's collection proves one thing: true creativity knows no limits, whether it's on stage or on the street. If you're all about custom cars, rock legends, and the stories behind the machines, smash that subscribe button and join the ride. New episodes drop every week. See you in the next one.